everyone, this is Pınar. I talk about F1 a lot on this channel, but today I will talk about the video series more than F1, I think. I met Jessica Hawkins and I'm super excited and for this chance about this interview. Hi, Jessica, how are you?
I'm great, how are you?
Great, thank you. Your bucket hat is with you as always.
Always.
Looking good. I want to start with this season. You started your season with TCR win and then your first podium on the V Series. How are you feeling about this season and how are you feeling about this first podium?
It's been such a strange year. It's the in both championships, it's been going either really well or really bad. There's no kind of like in between this year. We're either on the podium or something's broken or I've made a mistake or something like that. So yeah, it's mildly frustrating because I would have liked a little bit more consistency, but I guess I'm taking great positives from the fact that we've been so strong at previous races. So.
How do you feel about racing in 2 series or changing cars, changing rules and changing the designs?
If I'm honest, they're so different. It's not really easy to get confused between the two. Maybe just takes a session to kind of get back into it. But if there's one thing that I have lacked throughout my career, it's been track time. So I'm getting a lot of track time this year, which is I only see as advantageous. So yeah.
Yeah, it's always important, I think, to have a track time to get more experience.
It's so important that track time is second to none. It's arguably one of the most important things. So
yeah, that's great. And I want to go back a little bit to back actually. I know from your other interviews that you convinced your father to get a drive time in early days, but I want to ask you, what was your first sparkle moment that you want to be a racing driver, that this is your passion and the thing that you want most?
So I think I had my first go in a go-kart when I was either 7 or 8, but it wasn't until I was maybe 10, 11, 12 that it became more serious. And I don't ever remember there being a point where we went, right, I'm going to be a racing driver. It was always just doing a hobby that I loved. And luckily on the way, we won a relative amount of stuff on the way. So we kind of always just kept progressing. There was a time where I remember I had to, because I used to play football for Reading at a young age as well, randomly. There was a time where I had to pick between playing football or going racing. And I chose the racing, which looking back now was probably a huge milestone and a huge marker of that was the point where I had to make the decision. I wasn't thinking any of them were going to be a career. I didn't even know what a career was at that age. So yeah, that was do I like football more? Do I like karting? I like karting, so I'm gonna keep going karting. My parents were probably sad because it's a lot more expensive. But that's how it happened.
Yeah, I wanted to mention that part also. It's really tough to get into racing career. Wherever you are at your level, it's very expensive. How do you feel about this? Is it getting worse nowadays, or is it getting better in terms of the economy?
No, I don't think it will ever get much better. I don't think it will get much worse. Sadly, it's just motorsport. These are all barriers that we come up against. My barriers were funding. I obviously didn't come from a wealthy background, so I always found it really quite difficult to fund the next step. Found it difficult to bring sponsors on as well. But at some point, every driver will face barriers of some kind. It's just unfortunate that mine was budget related. There's a million different obstacles that a driver can come across. And each driver will come across them at different stages in their career. So yeah, well, it's been frustrating, don't get me wrong. I would have liked to have been racing more when I was younger, would have liked to have developed a little bit faster, but in the same breath, it's probably made me the driver that I am today. So I'll take it. I don't mind.
Yeah, that's all those experience gives us something, I think. But what do you think can be better in motorsport industry to make life easier? Girls like you at now struggling to get at your age, actually, like in 12 years old girl trying to get to racing career nowadays. What do you think can be easier for them?
That's such a difficult question. I just think that first of all, we're making steps in the right direction. There's figureheads now for younger drivers to look up to. W Series have been a big driving force behind that. So is Aston Martin, I think. And it just, people, I think, so when I first went karting, it was a kart track in the distance that I pointed out to my dad, and I asked him, can I have a go? And he was he didn't want me to, firstly, for whatever reason, whether it was he was worried or whatever. But if I hadn't have asked him to take me, I often wonder, would he have ever taken me? Because I'm a girl, he, not his fault, maybe automatically assumed that I wouldn't want to go because I was a female. And it's all of these views that I think that we're changing now, and it's not something that's done overnight, but we're certainly a lot further forward than what we were a few years ago.
Yeah, definitely. I think you are one of the reasons that this change is happening now these days, I think.
Thank you.
And I think Aston Martin is such a brand in racing, in motorsport right now to support this. And how do you feel about being an ambassador for them, and what that means to you to be able to be vocal about everything that you want and racing more freely in compared to the other environments in industry, actually?
I mean, it's obviously firstly a great honor to have signed for Aston Martin Formula One. Never did I think that would ever happen. But yeah, from there, my role keeps increasing, which is always a good thing. It's very welcomed. And yeah, it's nice to be able to talk about the things that I'm passionate about and the things that come up in female sport, or not just motorsport, women's sport. Like, it's a big thing at the moment, and there's a big push with it all around, especially with the Lionesses, especially in the UK for us. That was a big milestone. And just women's sport is growing, and it's fantastic to be a part of that. And I think if we can put lots of hard work in now, we'll see in a few years' time, however long that may be, we'll see the rewards then.
Yeah, definitely. And in this road, like, what is your goal? What is your ultimate goal in your career? Where do you want to be?
That's such a difficult question. I don't know.
Sorry for early difficult questions.
Do you know what? I set myself goals and set myself achievements that I want to achieve. And then other random opportunities arise, and I explore them and end up doing it. And they turn out to be amazing. So yes, I have goals. Yes, I have things I want to achieve, but I'm also not closed off to those, and I'm open to any other opportunities.
Yeah, so hopefully we will see you in racing many more years. And
yes, I'm not giving up yet. I've still got dreams to chase.
No, there is a long way to go, I think, for you. And from also go back to Aston Martin, they are very local about diversity and inclusion, and I think they are putting the action. What do you think? I mean, you said it's step by step and it's changing a little, but do you think that it's gonna change sooner than we think? Because sometimes there are some kind of openings about it that there won't be a woman driver in Formula One in sooner years, which makes me sad because I want to see someone there. Do you think it's gonna change soon, or do you think we have still roads to go, and what are the roadblocks that you face to?
Yeah, there are still a few hurdles in the way. That's no secret. The other thing we need is time, I think. We need time for the younger generation to grow into the drivers that we need them to be. Because I think that the pool of female drivers is going to grow so much. And this is all because of the work that we're putting in now. The W Series are putting in now. We're going to see so many more younger drivers coming into it, which means there's more likelihood we're going to see a female because there are so many more to choose from. That doesn't mean that I don't think there will be one soon. There could very well be, but I think the chances are higher in a few more years. But obviously you have many a driver that are a few years younger than myself that, you know, stand a very good chance. Never say never, I would say. Who knows? I wish I had a crystal ball and I could tell you.
Yeah, fingers crossed. I think lots of people are waiting nowadays and would be super excited to see that, because if for my generation, I don't think we only heard this from the stories, not like saw it live, so it will be exciting. But I think W Series is putting a lot of work onto this and putting in extra effort to make it happen. What do you think, how the effects of W Series on this dream come true?
Yeah, I think I briefly touched on it earlier. They're giving something for the younger generation to look up to. They're giving opportunities to people like myself who would never be, I wouldn't even be racing the last 3 years if it wasn't for them. Maybe I would have had a one-off drive and something here and there that I could find the budget for, but they put me in a full-time seat for 3 years and I wouldn't have that without them. Also on the Formula One package, crazy.
Yeah.
So it's getting a lot of media attention. It's getting a lot of eyes watching it, which is good. The right eyes are watching it. And it's providing opportunities, not just for drivers as well. There are lots of females in mechanic roles there and engineering roles and all the different types of roles within motorsport that you don't necessarily see on the outside. So yeah, it's creating opportunities for so many people.
Yeah, that's great. And it's the half of the season already for you in the W Series. How do you think it's gonna go from Singapore?
If we go by speed, it's going to be a very strong one, because we have found our pace again this year, which is fantastic. If we go by luck, who knows? Yeah, I think we're going to be strong. We're going to be strong for the rest of the season. I'm confident for that.
Yeah, good luck for the rest of the season. And my last question. Thank you. My last question is, which circuit is your dream circuit? Where do you want to race that you never before?
Monaco is obviously a very obvious one.
Yeah.
Because it's Monaco. The dream circuit. I would have loved to have done Suzuka.
Oh, yes. I it's not my place to say, but I like your taste on circuits, definitely.
Thank you.
Because like lots of people talks about Monaco, and sometimes races are a bit dull when it comes to watching, but I think the word of Monaco is driving it, because it's something different for drivers like you. Yeah. Thank you so much, Jessica, for your time and taking
No worries. Thank you so much.
And thank you guys. If you like the video, please like and subscribe to my channel.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye, Jessica.